I was having Yashaba Rico from StreetScores, and I got like a 10-minute break to let the dogs out, but I still don't think my voice is all the way back, but it doesn't matter. We are going off of pure energy and the high of after winning that game. You know we're here to break down everything. We're going to go position group by position group. We're also going to talk about Cliff Kingsbury extensively before we even get to the players. But you know, we got to talk about quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, corners, safeties, special teams as well. So make sure you stay tuned throughout this entire video because we're going position group by position group. We're going to naturally talk about Cliff Kingsbury and Jayden Daniels first, but make sure you stay around for the entire analysis. But one of the main things we're going to focus on in this video is Jayden Daniels already a top 10 quarterback. Forget rookie, best rookie quarterback. He's that by a mile at least right now. Where does Jayden Daniels stand as far as all of the quarterbacks in the NFL? And of course, we're going to do a full-blown Washington Commanders versus Cincinnati Bengals review and analysis. So that's good and bad. This video, even though we won the game, this is not all good. There's some bad here as well. We're going to talk about it. First of all, Terry McLaurin is back. We're going to talk about that when we get to the receivers. Austin Ekeler was our best free agency signing. We're going to talk about that when we get to the running backs and a lot more. But before we get to all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Shouts out to everybody that became a channel member. Shouts out to those of y'all who are already channel members because I've been doing 2 exclusive film sessions just for y'all for the past couple of weeks, 2 weeks each after the Buccaneers game and the Giants game. I'm trying to do like 3 or 4 after a win like this. So stay tuned. If you're not a channel member, go become one because I'm doing exclusive film sessions that are only allowed for channel members to see. Definitely make sure you leave a like on the way out of this video. Make sure you stay tuned because I live streamed that game. You should have pulled up if you weren't there. Shouts out to all of y'all that did, that left likes, left comments, donated, and all of that. And I will be live streaming next week's game against the Cardinals as well. And that was a very successful call-in show. If you haven't peeped it yet, go check out that live stream because after the game ends, we go straight to the call-in show. And those calls were perfection. Energy, passion, love, analysis. A lot of people brought up a lot of great points that I didn't even think of while watching the game. They make me a smarter fan. A shout out to all of y'all that called in, and let's go ahead and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, let's start with the coaching. And I mean, obviously, man, Cliff Kingsbury, he didn't really, you know, like reply to Cameron Taylor-Britt with words. All he said was after Kayla, and let's just go back a little bit. Cameron Taylor-Britt, the corner for the Bengals, said before our game tonight / last night, whenever you're watching this, whatever, he said that the Commanders run basically a gimmicky college offense that's easy to read, all of this type of stuff. Basically just downplaying it. Basically, we're going to go ahead and whoop them type of talk. Cliff Kingsbury responds in a press conference a day or two later and says he's entitled to his opinion. That's it. Real smooth, real confident. He can think whatever he wants to think, knowing in the back of his head, we about to not only light them up as like our offense is going to light up their defense, but we're also going to light him up specifically because that first Terry McLaurin deep ball was straight on him. And it's not like Terry McLaurin even did a deep move, did a double move or anything. Literally snaps the ball. Terry McLaurin runs right by him. I mean, he had extra cushion. No, I mean, it's just insane that he allowed Terry McLaurin to beat him on that play. But either way, Cliff Kingsbury didn't reply with his words. He retaliated with his genius and his offensive play calling, which is the best way to do it. Don't say nothing back. Don't even acknowledge the opinions of peasants, man. Just go show it on that field. And he more than showed it on that field, man. He was in his bag tonight, man. And I've been talking about how Cliff Kingsbury looks like one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL so far this season. It's only been 2 weeks, and when I said this, I was like, it is only been 2 weeks, and we're at the top of a lot of advanced stats, like top 5 and like 8 different advanced stats offensively. Running the ball, passing the ball, efficiency, no turnovers and things like that. But I was like, it's only 2 weeks, but this guy's cooking. I need to see it a little bit more to like officially give him the crown. I think it's about by now. Now the Bengals don't have the best defense doing it, but still, I think it's about time where like people really start to acknowledge, first of all, get on the Cliff Kingsbury bandwagon. We still have yet to see what he's gonna look like the second half of the season, because that's typically when his offenses kind of fall off the face of the earth. I provided y'all those stats like after that Giants game, like a day or two later after that. So go check out that video. That's typically what happens. But as of right now, He's cooking. He's deep in his bag. This is one of the best offenses in the NFL. I mean, arguably top 3 when you're looking at a lot of advanced stats, especially when you're looking at efficiency numbers like EPA per play and things like that. We are literally, in certain stats, the best offense in the NFL. It's absolutely insane. We're going to dive into that, man. And I told y'all this before the season even started. Even if we don't win a lot of games, even if we're not efficient, I just know from Jayden Daniels being our quarterback and Cliff Kingsbury being our offensive coordinator, you can go check the receipts. Our offense is at the very least going to be very fun to watch. Now, they've exceeded my expectations. They're more efficient. They're more explosive than I thought they would be, especially at this. We got to remember, this is week 3 of a very new team. Rookie quarterback, just drafted. 3 of the 5 pieces in the O-line are all new. One of them is a rookie that missed the entire offseason that's coming in and out the game because they're still not sure if he's ready yet. And he even got beat to the inside, which got Jayden Daniels. I think that was the one time he got sacked in the game. Or second time, whatever. It was definitely one of those times he got obliterated. It was because Brandon Coleman. But, I mean, new system, new offensive coordinator. Everything is new. The front office, everybody. The owner's only been here for like a year and 2 months or something like that. Head coach, the assistant head coach, and Brian Johnson came from the Eagles. Offensive lines coach from Bobby Johnson came from the Giants. Anthony Lynn came from the 49ers. We're like an amalgamation of all different types of pieces and opinions coming from so many different places. It's amazing that not only are we this good in year 1, but how about week 3? And shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury for stirring this pot up with a lot of different opinions and a lot of different play styles and throwing it out there and making this amazing thing. Because again, I'm gonna have to go look at the all-22 film after this game to see like what's really going on. But in that Giants game, shouts out to Logan Paulson for pointing this out. You saw some plays that clearly Bobby Johnson brought from the Giants they ran in 2023. You saw some plays where Brian Johnson brought some plays that Jalen Hurts and the Eagles ran in 2023. And like Cliff Kingsbury is calling all of these plays to give everybody a chance to contribute to the offense. The way that he's like orchestrating this right now is insane. So, and again, the fact that it's only week 3 is just making it even more ridiculous, man. And so, I also want to point out the fact that how many screens did Cliff Kingsbury even call in that first half? I mean, was it like 2 or 3 maybe? It was like the first drive, maybe he called like a couple, and then maybe he called one like later on. But after that, the offense was wide open, and I'm so happy. And I talked about this before the game even happened. I said the first 4 quarters, and including those first 2 quarters of the Giants, it was more of a passive offense. Cliff Kingsbury just trying to get a feel where Jayden Daniels is at. Are you ready to take these deep shots? Are you ready to attack down the field? Are you ready for 3 and 5 step drops where the offensive line is just pass protecting and you got to navigate that pocket while looking down the field and deliver passes? Are you ready for that at the NFL level yet? Well, Cliff Kingsbury was trying to fill them out, so it was a lot of screen passes. There were a lot of underneath things at first, those first 6 quarters, but you saw that second half against the Giants, that offense started to open up. He started to ask Jayden Daniels to read the entire field and make plays with his eyes and his brains, not just his legs, and with his arm especially. And he started to deliver that. And you saw the momentum going from that second half against the Giants to what happened in this game. You saw it. It was like, okay, maybe the screens will die down. It's still going to be a part of the offense, but it's going to die down because we're going to start to attack the entire field. Now you got to cover the entire field, not just the first 10 yards. Now you got to respect us everywhere. That's going to open things up underneath for us because now you got to respect the deep ball as well. And then this offense exploded today. So explosive through the air, through the run game, everything, man. Shouts out to Austin Ekeler. We're definitely going to talk about him. And I have an injury update for you as far as he goes when we get to the running back part of this video, man. But it's just incredible. The Washington Commanders have not committed a turnover this season at all. Fumbles, interceptions, nothing. We also have not punted in 2 games, y'all. We have not punted in 2 games. What is that? We haven't punted since the Buccaneers game. I'm going to tell you the exact time, the last time we punted this season when we get to that stat. I have a lot of stats ready, and I'm just kind of going in order right now. And it's crazy, too, because we had no penalties for the first 50 minutes of this game. We were very disciplined. I was surprised. I was shocked. And then lo and behold, the last few minutes of the game, we have 2 false starts on 1 drive. First from Zach Ertz, then the next one from De'Ami Brown. And that was really annoying because last week it was the offensive line and I think Ben Sinnott had 1. But this time it was Zach Ertz, the veteran, and De'Ami Brown, who's been around for a few years as well. So there was no excuse. But again, it wasn't the offensive line this time. Suddenly it's a receiver and a tight end getting getting a false start, setting us back and things like that. We still overcame that and scored points, but it's still annoying. And then we ended up finishing the game with like 3 penalties within just the last 10 minutes of the game. First 50 minutes, no penalties, finished the game with 3. That was kind of annoying, but either way, overall, we still did well. And I think 2 of them were offensive. I think the last one was a defensive one, which was like an Olamide Zacchaeus pass interference, but 3 penalties for the entire team, I believe, the whole night. Not bad, especially since you went the first 50 minutes without a single one at all. Shouts out to Ref Edition for pointing this out as well, man. All narratives debunked tonight. Offense can't score in the red zone, Daniels can't slide, and McLaurin is no longer him. I love the fact that we got rid of all of those. So, Cliff Kingsbury's college offense tonight. Touchdown, 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 end of half. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown, end of game. Come on, bro. What is that? What's that, man? And also, just to let you know, shouts out to Jordan Schultz for this one. No team in the Super Bowl era has done what the Commanders just did. 2 consecutive games with 0 turnovers and 0 punts. He said, take a bow, Jayden Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury, Terry McLaurin, and Washington Commanders. What a night. And it was for everybody to see. That's the most beautiful part. This was Monday night. First of all, we broke the Monday night curse. That's cool in itself. You know, that's nice to finally get that out of the way. But also, this was a game that everybody was watching. I don't think y'all understand, because a lot of y'all are probably in the DMV area, so like your world revolves around the Commanders. I'm from Atlanta. I've lived in New York for a while as well, for a few years. Like, the Commanders, like, people don't even really think about our existence. Like, especially, like, if you're talking about my friend circle, like my Xbox party chat and my guys that I've known for like 12 plus years, were like Falcons fans, of course. Half of them are Falcons fans, but then you have Bears, you have Steelers, you have Colts, you have Rams, you have 49ers, you have Patriots. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody that already say Bears. Like, we have so many different fans of different fan bases, and we seem to be the one that's forgotten the most. At least the Falcons are probably the biggest laughing stock, but at least they receive some attention. People remember they exist. We're not really acknowledged. And my point is that when people normally, like most fans in the NFL, don't watch every games. Like, they typically pull up and watch us one time a year. That's that one Monday night game that we get, and they look and see us get embarrassed every year, and they're like, well, same old Commanders like they've been for the past 10-20 years. Nothing new to see here. Keep it pushing. And then they probably don't acknowledge our existence or worry about us or think about us for the remainder of the season. Don't even like remember that we exist type of stuff. Trust me, out of my friend group, trust me, we are probably the most forgotten team out of that whole list of teams I just gave you. And so it's so nice that on Monday night, when everybody's watching, you know everybody's watching, because that Bills game that started like 30 minutes before ours was a blowout immediately. They had that game under wraps against the Jaguars as soon as that game started. I'm pretty sure most people, unless you're a Jaguars or a Bills fan, you turned away from that game and turned to that Bengals Commanders. You see the Bengals score a touchdown in their first drive, you're probably like, oh, this game is probably over. There's no way the Commanders come back from allowing an easy touchdown that quickly. There's just no way. They don't have the offense for that. Their defense can't seem to stop anything. There's just no way. And then they watch us surgically, put belt to behind against these boys for the rest of the game. The score ended up only being like a 5-point win technically, but the game was more convincing than that. I mean, if you take away that last kind of garbage time touchdown, because we was just trying to get out of this game without any injuries, we was just like, you can do whatever you want to, but just make sure that clock is running while you do it. Really, the game should have been 26-38. That was a convincing win. And I also want to acknowledge the fact, I know we're supposed to be talking about Cliff Kingsbury right now, but these are thoughts that are at the top of my mind right now. This not only was a game that was Monday night, this was at Cincinnati. This was a Cincinnati team that was 0-2, so they are supremely desperate to win this game against us tonight. People just assume they would win at the very least because they would be the more desperate team. The Commanders are rebuilding. We're building towards the future. We don't need to win right now. We don't have the same urgency as them. So just that already alone had most people picking the Bengals over us, even if we were the same exact team. Say they were the Commanders versus the Commanders, but one Commanders team is 0-2, the other one's 1-1. Naturally, people think that the 0-2 team is going to come out with more urgency and end up winning that game. So not only was it an away game, it was a very desperate Bengals team. They're now 0-3 in a really good division. They're slipping away right now. They needed to win this game. There's no argument that could be made that the Bengals overlooked us, that the Bengals didn't take us seriously, seriously, I mean, you could say maybe Cameron Taylor-Britt did individually, but the rest of the team did not at all. And granted, they had some injuries, but this is a team that, I know they maybe are down a couple of players, but this is still the same team that was just in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. They're not that much different. Most of the players that contributed to that great team, that were the reason that they made it to the Super Bowl, were still on that team. And the fact that we just did what we did against them convincingly too. I mean, again, it ended up being only a 5-point win, but honestly, to me, it was really like a 12-point win. On the road, insane. Going back to the offense, the Commanders' offense is now first, you heard it here first in EPA per drive through 3 weeks of the 2024 season. So arguably, according to advanced statistics, we have the best offense in the NFL. People said passing was dead. Doesn't look like it to me. The last 13 possessions, 2 full games, 5 touchdowns, 8 field goals, 0 punts, 0 turnovers. Insane stuff. Again, people said passing was dead. They said to ban the cover too. Dead where? Best offense in the NFL, at least efficiency-wise? Stop playing with us, man. Come on, dog. And Washington now is the first team in the Super Bowl era to have back-to-back games with 0 turnovers and 0 punts. That's 50-plus years. Also, Washington has scored on every drive in the last 2 games, excluding kneel downs, becoming the only team since at least 2000 to score on every drive in multiple games, excluding kneel downs. Also, some other stats. Washington scored the most offensive points, 21 in the first half, since week 3 of 2018, before Ron Rivera ever became head coach of this team. Also, Washington recorded 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half. That's the first time we've done that we've rushed for 3 touchdowns in the first half of a game since 1999. 1999, man. That's ridiculous, the type of stuff we did this game. And just to let you know, last time the Washington Commanders punted was 11 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1. And drives since over 8+ quarters. Touchdown, field goal, 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 all of the Giants games. Field goal, basically field goals right there. Then touchdown, then field goal, then touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Absolutely insane work from Cliff Kingsbury, man. I mean, and it's crazy too, because the defense did not play well. I mean, they were bend but don't break a couple of times, and we got lucky with their field goal missing one of those easy kicks, especially Evan McPherson. He's one of the most automatic short-range field goal kickers doing it. The fact that he missed the kick, I don't know. Maybe there was something off in the building. Just think about it. We didn't have any home field advantage. We were not only, let's really dive into the fact that not only was this an away game, but this was an away game for a team that was 0-2 and started the game off with a very quick touchdown. If there were ever a time for fans to be hopeful and loud, and make it difficult for the opposing team to be able to even communicate amongst each other and even talk to each other in the huddle and things like that at the line of scrimmage. You know, JAYDEN Daniels IDs potential blitzers, changes protections, changes plays at the play call, makes checks and things like that. If there were ever a time for a hostile environment to exist, it's after you're up 7-0 while you're a 0-2 team with playoff hopes, man. The fact that they overcame that is insane in itself, dog. That is absolutely ridiculous. Also, another stat. Washington has scored on every drive in the last 2 games, excluding kneel downs, becoming the only team since at least 2000 to score on every drive of multiple games. Oh, yeah, I already gave y'all that stat. My fault. That stat was so impressive, I felt like I guess I needed to repeat that to you. Also, 38 offensive points is the most Washington has scored since they scored 41 against Chicago on Christmas Eve of 2016. That's 8 years ago. Also, 2 nicknames ago. Shouts out to Resh Manuel for that one right there. I also want to talk about how this offense had to overcome this bad defense. I really feel like people need to acknowledge the fact that if this offense isn't almost perfect, we don't win this game. That's the crazy part. This offense had to basically be perfect to win this game, only by what, actual number-wise 5 points, even though it was really 12. Also, shouts out to the Washington Commanders for being petty, because if you check their Twitter account, in retaliation to that corner, Britt, that said that we're running a college offense, the Commanders themselves tweeted a picture of Brian Robinson and Jalen Daniels smiling with the final score. They tweeted, "Not bad for a college offense." I love it. I love the pettiness. It's also safe to say that Cliff Kingsbury took that Cameron Taylor-Britt's comments pretty personally, bro. I felt like he got in his bag deeper than any game I've probably ever seen of him coaching, even for the Cardinals at any point. Also, man, I love the fact that he utilized every weapon possible. possible. Offensive players, the running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. It seemed like everybody was involved, man. Even though Ben Sinnott didn't actually receive a target or a catch, he had one ridiculous block. We're going to talk about that when we get to the tight end, but that big Austin Ekeler run, that was like 30-yard run like in the first quarter or something like that, maybe our first touchdown of the game, I believe it was, or the second, he had a fantastic block. So Cliff Kingsbury is finding a way to get everybody involved and for everybody to feel like they're contributing. Like Ben Sinnott having the basically the block that allowed us to score that touchdown. I'm pretty sure he got celebrated on the sideline. That makes him feel good. That makes him feel like all of his hard work throughout the week and the whole offseason especially is worth it. Like when you're acknowledged like that, even like one of the touchdowns we scored, I think the Brian Robinson one for like that 1-yard run at the goal line, I think like Cliff Kingsbury on the sideline, I think I saw a clip of him personally looking and hunting down Nick Allegretti to congratulate him, dap him up, and show him excitement. I love that. We're acknowledging the guys that are doing the dirty work, not just the guys that catch the touchdowns, that throw the touchdowns, that run for the touchdowns, but all of the guys that are the reason that those touchdowns are even happening, like the offensive line and tight ends and things like that. That's how you make sure everybody believes in themselves and they feel like they are a part of something bigger, even if they're doing just the dirty work, the work that gets, mostly not recognized and overlooked by, the typical fan. Our offensive coordinator, at the very least, acknowledges it. Also, shouts out to Jamar Chase for shouting out Jayden Daniels and saying that he's a really good player. He said he's a great effing player. I'm not gonna lie. In his press game conference, he didn't seem too happy. Speaking of not too happy, Devontae Adams, what you had to say about us in the offseason, saying DC is a sad town, we're a sad fan base, we're a bad team. How does it feel on reverse right now? I would definitely say the Commanders are feeling better than y'all right now. Our fan base, everything. You look like you're sick of the Raiders. I want to know how that feels, man. Just had to, show that. But shouts out to Jayden Daniels, man. Converting 2 fourth downs big time, especially that second one, that fourth, and I believe it was 4, when we needed to score the most, right? But like a couple of plays before that Terry McLaurin touchdown. We're going to talk about that as well. But man, I mean, just straight poise, bro. The first one, he had Luke McCaffrey for a huge 30-yard gain on 4th and 2. Right, and that was the play like right after he missed a wide open Noah Brown, I believe it was, or Terry McLaurin deep. And I'm not gonna lie, that first half of that game, Jayden Daniels was missing wide open receivers left and right. It was not a perfect first half. It was a great one overall, but he was missing the bigger play. He would scramble for 5 yards, but he missed a potential 30-40 yard throw. So I'm not gonna say and act like it was the perfect game. We're here to celebrate Jayden Daniels, but we're not here to lie. We're not here to be blind to the fact that, I mean, even as great of a game as he had, and we're going to talk about how legendary his game was, it was actually a record-setting day today. We're going to get to that statistically. But even what's even more exciting is the fact that he has room to grow. There were so many missed opportunities there. I'm sure they're going to look at that when they do their film study this week, and he's going to be like, yeah, I got to learn to hit those. He's going to learn how to hit those, and then he's going to be unstoppable. Because this is not Jayden Daniels at his best. I really want to acknowledge that. But again, I mean, how clutch he is. Those 4th down plays, especially that second one, where like he literally was on telling the sideline, I'm going for this. Please let me go for this. Let me do this and put the ball in my hands. That was like a drop back too. That wasn't even like a design play by Cliff Kingsbury to take the moment out of Jayden Daniels' hand. This is your rookie quarterback in his 3rd game of the season. Barely played the preseason at all. Played like what, 2 or 3 total drives, and you give him his moment. You put the ball in his hands, 3-step drop, 5-step, whatever, and then the offensive line is blocking for him. He's navigating the pocket, and it's up to him to make the play. There's no easy reads. It doesn't even seem like there was necessarily a hot route. He's supposed to be a grown man, a nuanced quarterback, only week 3 of his rookie season again, mind you, and read the defense and make the play himself. Cliff Kingsbury completely left that game in Jayden Daniels' hand in that play especially. But I mean, again, converting 2 4th downs is amazing, man. But also moving on, I really wish he would have hit Terry McLaurin for that deep ball earlier, man. That would have been really nice. That would have been big time, man. He missed like 3 big plays to start the game within like just the first 16 minutes, but he exploded. I mean, that deep bomb to Terry McLaurin, 55-yard deep bomb, was amazing to set up 1st and goal, man. That was insane. Thank you for that. We finally got to see Terry McLaurin exist, and that was like a perfect drive, you could argue there. And then, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but us in the red zone, when we don't have false start penalties, almost seems like an automatic touchdown. If you go back to even the Buccaneers game, as long as we don't get a false start, it feels like we're pretty much going to score a touchdown once we get to the red zone, especially once we get into the 5-yard line, because how do you stop that? Like Brian Robinson alone up the A-gap, especially with these big offensive linemen we have in front of him, these strong offensive linemen, I mean, you got to dedicate at least 7-8 people to stop him, and at that, after that point, I mean, are you not going to worry about a tight end potentially pretending to block and then leaking out at the last second, Jayden Daniels throwing on the ball? Are you not worried about, Jayden Daniels read option? Maybe he keeps it, runs for an easy touchdown like he did earlier where he was barely touched for one of those rushing touchdowns that he had in that game. Like, I mean, what is the answer to stop us at the 5-yard line? Just like same thing with 4th and short, 3rd and short. How do you stop us? You have to pretty much pick your poison. There's always an option there. There's always an answer. It's just up to Cliff Kingsbury and Jayden Daniels to find it any given play. But first of all, to end the first half, Jayden Daniels was 7 of 8 for 139 yards and a rushing touchdown. Like, come on, dog. And after the first half, he also had a 1.06 EPA per play, which is like Pat Mahomes on his best day type of numbers. In comparison, Joe Burrow, who had a really good game, had a 0.33 EPA per play at halftime. Again, Jayden Daniels had a 1.06. That is insane. If you ever reach 1 point anything instead of 0 point something, that is like Hall of Fame career level stuff right there. Also, we got to give the offensive line credit to Jayden Daniels because up to the halftime point, he was only sacked once and had 2 QB hits. That's it. And even to end the game, the offensive line balled out. We're going to give them their credit when we get to the offensive line part of this video. But we also got to nitpick a few things like individual guys, certain plays, like you got to be better here, especially Brandon Coleman. But overall, the offensive line was great, which allowed Jayden Daniels to have this day. But man, Jayden Daniels got his first passing touchdown. He's already had a few touchdowns. He ran for one already against the Bengals before that passing touchdown. He had I think 2 rushing touchdowns against the Buccaneers, I believe. So he already had 3 rushing touchdowns before he got his first passing one. But it was still monumental for him to finally get his first passing touchdown. And guess who it went to? A backup tackle in Trent Brown. I think a 7-year veteran, Trent Brown. I mean, come on, dog. Who else do you give credit to that play to other than Cliff Kingsbury getting in his bag and even having the gall to call a play like that? What if the tackle drops it? Now everybody's upset. Why would you throw it to a tackle in a situation like that? Just run it with Brian Robinson, no overthinking and things like that. Shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury to have the confidence and the bag to pull that out, man. And I just can't wait for people to ask that trivia question like 5-8 years from now. Who was Jayden Daniels' first passing touchdown to? Y'all are going to forget. You may remember, oh, wait, wasn't it an offensive lineman? You're not going to remember Trent Scott. I believe that. Unless you're just one of those guys with a great memory. And I just thought that was a really interesting situation. But, man, I mean, we were unstoppable today, man, and Jayden Daniels was a big reason for it, man. At a certain point in that game, he had a 149.1 passer rating. The best you can do, the literal maximum, is a 158.3. That's insane right there alone. And then he finally, not only did he have his first passing touchdown, but he also had his first NFL slide today, which I was really happy about, man. Really, really love it, man. And shouts out to Double Austin Cyberg. He's Mr. Automatic again, dog. He can't be stopped. This man, like I said, instead of Cyberg, I call him Cyborg because he got to be part robot with, the fact that he hasn't missed a single kick this whole season so far in 2 games. We're going to get to that when we get to the special teams, man. But, man, that second 4th down conversion, dog, the fact that he told the sideline to keep the game in his hands, and then the fact that he delivered on it was insane, man. That Zach Ertz 9-yard first down, crazy. Great throw, great read, all of that. And then the Terry McLaurin touchdown was ridiculous, dog. I don't think people truly understand. If you weren't there for my live stream to show you this, you don't understand how great that throw to Terry McLaurin was for that touchdown, our final touchdown of the game, man. Because if you look on the screen right now, this is the point that he threw that ball. Like right now, this snapshot. First of all, Terry McLaurin is not ahead of his DB. He hasn't even done his double move yet. Because at a certain point, like shortly after this, he like fakes inside and then finally goes all the way up, streaking for a fade route. But at this point, he's not ahead of the DB at all. He definitely still, I think that's Daxton Hill, the guy that I really wanted out of Michigan as well. Shouts out to him, but you can't cover Terry McLaurin one-on-one. I don't know why they went with 0 coverage right there. They tried to blitz him. Really, they tried Jayden Daniels. They like, he's a rookie quarterback, blitz him on a clutch play like this. Bet he folds. And guess he didn't. And even more fantastic to the credit of Jayden Daniels, not only is Terry McLaurin not open at all yet, but also he's getting blasted. Look at that number right there that's right at his face. There is a DB that went unblocked basically and is barreling down at him. I mean, he gets obliterated. If you go look at that replay and look at Jayden Daniels, he is off the ground, parallel to the ground at a certain point after he throws that ball. He knew he was going to get hit. He knew that was coming. He was like, I don't care. I got to win this game and make this touchdown throw. That's fantastic. Also, I want to point out the fact that shouts out the next gen stats for this one. That 27-yard touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin from Jayden Daniels Daniels had a completion probability of 10.3%. Guess what? That's the most improbable touchdown of the season right now. I believe out of the entire NFL through the first 3 weeks of football. It's also the most improbable completion by the Commanders in the next gen stats era, and they just started in 2016, so it's probably even more improbable longer than that. Next gen stats just didn't exist till 2016, and since they've been keeping track of things, that is the most improbable completion since they were even invented. This guy, Jayden Daniels, is something special, man. You want to also know how special he is? First of all, 21 of 23, 254 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 11 carries, 40 more yards on top of that on the ground, and 1 more touchdown. So 3 touchdowns total and 294 yards total, including rushing and passing, man. Come on. But do you know that that's a 91% completion percentage, y'all? Do y'all realize that? Do you realize this guy had 2 touchdown passes, just as many touchdown passes that he had as incompletions? 2 touchdown passes, 2 incomplete. He had more total touchdowns than he had incompletions in this game, y'all. Come on, bro. Jayden Daniels' average depth of target tonight was 9.7 compared to his back-to-back games of under 6. The film clearly showed this offense was opening up, and it was up to Jayden Daniels to start hitting the downfield throws, and boy did he. Shouts out to Pro Football Focus Nick Agarich for that one. Also, look on the screen right now. Look at this crazy graphic right here, man. This is insane stuff. So the highest completion percentage in a single game by rookies in NFL history, in a single game, minimum 20 attempts, Jayden Daniels just broke that record with a 91.3. He beat Dak Prescott's 88.9 and Gardner Minshew's 88. This is also the highest in Commanders franchise history in a single game, regardless of rookie, veteran, quarterback, Super Bowl winner, whatever you want to name, Hall of Famer, future Hall of Fame, whatever, Hall of Fame candidate. Jayden Daniels has the highest completion percentage with at least 20 attempts in the game in franchise history. It's only his 3rd game in his career, y'all. Do y'all not realize this is only his 3rd game in his career? Come on, stop playing with my boy. Another graphic. How about this one? I feel like a lot of people are really sleep on this one. Let's talk about the highest completion percentage through 3 games in a single season in NFL history. And we're not even just talking rookies, y'all, I believe. Nah, because Drew Brees was not a rookie on the Saints in 2018. So we're not talking about rookies. We're talking about any stretch in NFL history through 3 games, the highest completion percentage, rookie or not, veteran Super Bowl winner. We're talking about Drew Brees and Tom Brady, just behind Drew Brees and right ahead of Tom Brady with a minimum of 50 pass attempts. We're not talking about just dinking and dunking and running the ball a lot. We're talking about at least 50 pass attempts through 3 games. Again, in a single season in NFL history is insane, man. Come on, bro. Yeah, I mean, y'all, I don't think y'all are really understanding how legendary of a start this is for Jayden Daniels, man. Again, we're not talking about best rookie in the NFL. We're talking about best rookie quarterback in the NFL. We're in discussions of where does he rank in top quarterbacks in the NFL, period. Also, Jayden Daniels is 91.3% completion percentage in a game, is the 24th best ever in NFL history, ever in a single game through all of these years of football. 24th best ever. It's also tied for the 5th best ever in a game with at least 23 attempts. So if you take away anybody that has 22 attempts or less, that's the 5th best completion percentage in an NFL game ever. 5th, y'all. Come on, bro. We're not talking about just top 5 quarterback in the NFL this season. We're talking about, now we're not even talking about top 5 quarterback in NFL history. We're talking about top 5 quarterback games in NFL history, singular games. Also, Jayden Daniels is the first quarterback in NFL history to rush for at least 3 touchdowns, pass for at least 2 touchdowns, and not throw an interception through his first 3 career games. Nobody is off to a hotter start than Jayden Daniels these first 3 weeks in NFL history, technically. Also, he set the record for the best completion percentage with a player of 3 games or less, set the record for most yards by a Washington quarterback in their first 3 games as well. Come on, dog. Also, if you're comparing Caleb Williams to Jayden Daniels, come on, man. Caleb Williams, 59.3 completion percentage. His O-line is bad, granted, but Jayden Daniels, 80.3%. And if we're talking EPA per play, which, again, it isolates you. The point of EPA per play, when you're talking about defense, offense, whatever, a specific player, we're doing the best quarterback-wise specifically. Just imagine if Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams had the same offensive line, the same receivers, the same play calls, the same everything. We're doing our best to isolate the player from everything else around him. Caleb Williams is negative 0.33 EPA per play. Jayden Daniels is plus 0.38. Also, passer rating, Caleb Williams is 65.3. Jayden Daniels has a 111.8 so far through the first 3 weeks. Also, I want to point out the fact that shouts out to Adam Kilgore WP on Twitter. He brought up a good point. The Bengals didn't punt, commit a turnover, or turn it over on downs and scored a touchdown on every second half possession. So Jayden Daniels wasn't just perfect. He was perfect when anything less wouldn't have been good enough to win. That's a great point right there, man. This is the type of game where I'm going to be rewatching it over and over again. Just to let you know, I don't know by the time y'all get this video may not be out yet, but go check it out because shouts out, I believe it was my boy Steve that let us know during the call-in live show that they are replaying this game on NFL Network at 3 a.m., but I'm not sure if I'm going to have this video out to y'all before then, so I apologize for that. Also, I love not only Jayden Daniels' talent, production, and play, but the personality, man, because he's all goody two shoes in front of the camera like he's supposed to be, but sometimes his personality leaks out a little bit. But you saw all off season his personality, like when other people talk about him, you really got a good feel of his personality, not when he's talking himself, because he's reserved in front of the cameras. He's trying to be the face of the franchise, so he's not trying to show too much. But even the fact that I think Mike Sanford still said that Jayden Daniels, no, it was Jahan Dotson. Before we traded him, Jahan Dotson said that Jayden Daniels almost every day brings up how trash Penn State is. Uncalled for, unwarranted, unprovoked. Just no reason, just trash talking. Bobby Wagner said that Jayden Daniels believes he's the best basketball playing player on the entire team and that he's literally Kevin Durant in real life type of thing. He like truly believes that. Like that's the type of personality he is. And then on top of that, I know some people were mad about my Georgia dog Jalen Carter talking trash to the Eagles, to the Saints fans in the crowd when their game was pretty much wrapped up. He had a historical performance against them. Stop sleeping on my Georgia Bulldogs at NFL level. People have been talking crazy about him. Jalen Carter is arguably already the best defensive tackle in the NFL. Either way, I digress. Jayden Daniels did something similar. So I don't know if y'all seen the clip going around, but before the game is even over, I think it's still like 2-3 minutes left. Bengals have the ball. Jayden Daniels is telling the Bengals fans to go home. He celebrates with his Commanders players, and then he's telling them to go home. And of course, you see the Commanders players behind him like extra hype and happy. Like, yeah, that's my quarterback feeling it right now. Not only is he balling, and I believe this is immediately after the Terry McLaurin throw, but he's telling the Bengals fans to go home. Looking straight at them in the crowd, looking them dead in the eye, telling them, go home. It's a wrap. I already defeated y'all. Also, shouts out to @JGlazer for this. He said, tonight you saw why the Commanders wouldn't entertain any offers for that number 2 pick for Jayden Daniels. Teams are willing to offer up a lot, but Washington was locked in on him way before the draft, and you see why. Also, shouts out to Jayden Daniels, man, because he took Tressway's number and then he has not let him hit the field. Going back to the fact that we have not punted since 11 minutes and something seconds left in that Buccaneers game in that fourth quarter. He basically took his number and his job. You no longer have to punt. Don't worry about it. You are now the most expensive placeholder for field goal kicks in the NFL right now, Tressway. And I'm sure Tressway is loving it. He don't even have to think about going onto the field. I love it, man. How long can we keep this streak going, man? Also, I'm so excited. I mean, this Jayden Daniels performance was so amazing that I can't wait. This is one of those weeks where I'm going to watch and listen to every show, every network, every analyst that talks about the Commanders, about Jayden Daniels. I'm there for all of it. Chris Sims, Darren Orlovsky, Brian Baldinger, Kirk Benkert, everybody. I'm on y'all heads. I am pulling up. Also, shouts out to Dan Helly because it already starts. Lamar Jackson is a poor man's Jayden Daniels. That's the tweet. That's it. I love the love that he's getting right now. Lamar Jackson is a poor man's Jayden Daniels is crazy. I can't wait to see what everybody else has to say once they watch the film and break it down. And I may be breaking down my own film as well because this is crazy. Now moving on to running back, man. Austin Ekeler was insane this game. It's so sad to see him get hurt because he was insane running the ball, catching the ball, vision, special teams. That one return, I think it was our first defensive possession coming right out after halftime. He set us up at like the 30-yard line or something like that. This guy is easily, in my opinion, the best free agency signing we made. First of all, Austin Ekeler now joins Priest Holmes. I know a lot of y'all probably don't know that name, but trust me, different type of guy back in the day. I used to love using them in Madden, man. Ekeler joins Priest Holmes as the second undrafted running back in league history to have 70 career touchdowns, man. I'm so happy for him. But then he ended up getting out of the game because of a concussion. And then at a certain point, after he went to the locker room, he was standing outside the locker room and was wearing a bandage over his left ear. And now it's already been announced that he will not travel with the Commanders to Arizona. So I really, really hate that for him, man. Get well soon. Hopefully he can come back and be ready for that Browns game, because I feel like we're going to need him. Don't sleep on the Browns. They got whooped by the Giants and we beat the Giants, but do not sleep on the Browns. It's not that simple. Austin Ekeler, get well soon, man. I hate that because he was having a crazy game. He was the star of the show before he got hurt. I mean, I know Jayden Daniels was balling as well, but it was the Austin Ekeler show to start off that game, man. But shouts out to not only just the offense in general, but Cliff Kingsbury to adjust around the fact that your most potent, explosive offensive player right now, outside of Jayden Daniels at least, got hurt. I mean, the offense literally revolved around Austin Ekeler, and the fact that Cliff Kingsbury was like, well, we lost that guy, now we just got to cook up with another, is big time. But also Jeremy McNichols deserves some credit too as well. Brian Robinson didn't have the standout game that I hoped. I really did. I even felt like his vision was a little off. He missed a couple of holes that he could have had. Like, I remember one play vividly. It was like 3rd and 4, and he caught like a short pass, and instead of just running a corner over to get that extra yard to easily get the first down, he tried to juke out the corner, and then he ended up being like a yard short. So he frustrated me today with some of his like mental decisions. He's still a dog. I love Brian Robinson. He had a touchdown run on a 1-yard run that was easily blocked. He pretty much went untouched. I still believe in Brian Robinson, but Austin Ekeler was the star of the show. But shouts out to Jeremy McNichols, because go back and look at that Terry McLaurin, I guess you can technically say, game-winning throw. Even though Jeremy McNichols did not pick up that one linebacker, I mean, that one corner that ended up hitting Jayden Daniels, he picked up a linebacker that was coming straight up the middle. He probably would have gotten to Jayden Daniels even before that corner did. Jayden Daniels, that throw to Terry McLaurin for that touchdown at the end of the game. Look at Jeremy McNichols. He literally took, I think that's a linebacker or a safety out of the play, like literally lifted him off of his feet to allow Jayden Daniels to get that throw off. I feel like he was an unsung hero, not only on that play, but in that game to step in when I don't remember him playing a snap so far this season. Austin Ekeler gets hurt. He's ready to go in there and to contribute immediately, not only as a runner, but a pass protector. And that's what I worried about the most. When I saw Austin Ekeler get hurt, I was like, uh-oh, Jayden Daniels pass protection. What's going to happen? Jeremy McNichols depleted somebody. Literally, the guy was not on the ground for like an entire second the way Jeremy McNichols did. Go rewatch that play. Please, even if you got to stop this video, go look at that play and come back. I'm telling you, Jeremy McNichols handled his business on that play, and I appreciate that. Even though Jayden Daniels still got obliterated, if Jeremy McNichols chooses the guy that ended up hitting Jayden Daniels over the guy that he originally chose, that he ended up actually choosing in the game, Jayden Daniels may not even get that pass off because that guy has a closer route. That guy's coming right up like the A-gap. The other guy's coming off of the edge, so he has a further distance to go. So shouts out to Jeremy McNichols for not only the smart play, but the great block as well, man. And then moving on to the wide receivers, man. First of all, Luke McCaffrey had a great game. I've been telling y'all, it's looking good too, man. It's looking like, you know, I told y'all before this game even happened that those advanced stats that about Luke McCaffrey, man, maybe they're not lying, because I think he was like 8 so far through the first 2 weeks of football. I think he's like top 10, like number 8 or something in like separation yards per route ran. Like, according to advanced stats, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL already at getting open. And so with the plays that he made today, maybe that's not a lie. Maybe that's just not a lie. But Terry McLaurin was the star of the show in the receiver room. Noah Brown had a pretty good game as well, and I would like to get Olamide Zaccheaus, you know, utilized a little bit more, maybe in the screen game, maybe in the rounds. But Cliff Kingsbury is cooking so much, I don't want to fix what's not broken. If Olamide Zaccheaus not getting a catch means our offense looks this explosive, then that means don't give them a catch. I don't care. Now, of course, now teams are going to focus on what we do well, and that's going to force us to throw the ball to a guy like Olamide Zaccheaus or utilize him a little bit more. But hey, man, don't fix what's not broken. De'Ami Brown had a couple of good catches as well, especially towards the end of the game. Now, he got, I mean, obliterated on one of those tackles. I think it was Von Bell that did him dirty. I don't remember exactly who it was, but shouts out to him. But Terry McLaurin was the star of the show, man. Just off of that one deep bomb, he already doubled his total receiving yards through the first 2 weeks with just that one catch. He had 39, and then that was a 55-yard deep bomb, man. Also, with that deep bomb as well, Terry McLaurin had 38 receptions of 30 yards or more, tied for the 7th most among all offensive players since entering the league in 2019 when he was drafted. I'm telling y'all, man, this is a #1 receiver. It just took time for Jayden Daniels to learn how to hit him. We did the film session. There were times that he were open that Jayden Daniels just didn't see him, wasn't able to get him the ball. I mean, he was open for a deep bomb, like a 60-yard touchdown against the Buccaneers, but Jayden Daniels overthrew him. So I'm telling you, and I love the fact that not only, like, I mean, it's obvious that even if Terry McLaurin's not wide open, throw it to him anyway. Like, this is not college. Guys are not going to be wide open all the time. Terry McLaurin is NFL open, I would say, all the time, just because of his contested catch ability. Just, I mean, how great it is. I mean, that he made some big boy catch. Even, like, I think it was one third down where Jayden Daniels had a free rusher coming from the right side, and shouts out to him. How does a free rusher coming from the right side and you beat him to the right side as a quarterback? That's insane in itself. And then as he's running, he gives it to Terry McLaurin for like a really clutch third down catch where the receiver's already draped over Terry McLaurin as he's catching it. Super contested catch. That was big boy, grown man ball, that play alone. But also, man, I mean, throw it to him even when he's not open, dog. And I love the fact that Terry McLaurin even said that at the end of the game. You got to go look at that quote, man. On the sideline, he's fired up. I don't want to play it because I don't know about how that works copyright-wise. But he literally, while they were celebrating, he was like, one-on-one, throw it to me every time. He's saying this to Jayden Daniels, looking at him, dead in his eyes, this close to him. One-on-one, throw me the ball. I'm going to make plays. And he showed that, man. Shouts out to him, man. He was route running today. He was open even more than he got the ball. At a certain point in that game, he was averaging 11.58 point yards per reception. I'm not sure if that was overall the season. I'm not sure if that was after the touchdown or not, but shouts out to Kevin Sheehan for that stat, man. And I'm just so happy for Terry, man. I really am, man. 11 quarterbacks, no trade requests at all, just stuck to the plan, kept his head down, kept working, and now the fruits of his labor are finally showing. He finally has a franchise quarterback, and if anybody deserves one, it's him, man. So he was so hyped after his touchdown, man. He loves himself some Jayden Daniels, the way he was smiling. And again, there's a clip from the sidelines of him like literally face to face with Jayden Daniels, one-on-one, keep throwing me the ball. That was probably the most passionate I've seen Terry McLaurin since that contested catch he had against Stephon Gilmore when we played the Indianapolis Colts to set us up for the game-winning touchdown from Taylor Heineke or whatever that was. But the reason he was so passionate there was, first of all, it wasn't like he had a great game up to that point. So that was like, finally, I made a play. Also, that was in front of his home crowd. He's from Indianapolis, so that was in front of all of his fans and his friends, his family, and everything. This is probably the most hype I've seen him since then, and this probably was even more hype than that. So please go check that out. But also, Terry McLaurin wise, when Jayden Daniels targeted him today, Jayden Daniels had a 108.3 passer rating, EPA per target of 0.37, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Throw that boy the ball, plain and simple. That's a wrap on that. No more discussions about Terry McLaurin, number one receiver or not, man. Wrap that up. He's unguardable. Also, moving on to tight ends, again, I just got to shout out Ben Sinnott because on that big-time Austin Ekeler run, that was him. That was the reason that Austin Ekeler was able to have that, what was that, like a 24-yard touchdown run early in the game, man. That was a Ben Sinnott block. I don't remember anything else that he did in that game, but that was a big-time play for him. And it also shouts out to Zach Ertz. Up and down game. Because overall, he was a receiving threat, which he's supposed to be. He was very nuanced. He picked up like a couple of clutch first downs. Jayden Daniels targeted him in the passing game a couple of times. But then he had, like, towards the end of the game, he had that false start one play. Then he had the fumble right after that. Shouts out to Nick Allegretti, I believe it was, that recovered the fumble. But then right after that, he made up for it with like a 15-yard first down reception. So overall, kind of up and down game, but overall, I congratulate Zach Ertz and I give him a salute for the game that he had. Made a couple of mistakes, but hey, man, overall, thank goodness we have you. Also, I want to point out the fact that Zach Ertz has now passed Vernon Davis for 11th most receiving yards by a tight end in NFL history, and he has a lot more to get this season. Now, I'm not sure if he'll play into 2025, but he has a lot more to get this season for sure. Now, moving on to the offensive line. Shouts out to y'all, man. Y'all blocked y'all tails off today, man. Y'all weren't perfect, but Jayden Daniels does not have the game today without the way that the offensive line pass protected for him and run block. I mean, without the run game, you know, we don't force defenses to add more to the box and open up things for the passing game. So the run blocking and the pass blocking from the offensive line today was not perfect. We're gonna dive into that soon, but overall, fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. That offensive line, you can tell, is starting to gel together, and I guess we got to give Bobby Johnson and Anthony Lynn some credit there, because offensive lines, typically, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. If there's no chemistry, if there's no gel there, and that usually takes a lot of time, usually at least half of a season, then it doesn't matter. Like I keep saying, you can sign 5 all-pro offensive linemen from 5 different teams in the same offseason. You're still probably going to allow a lot of pressures, QB hits, and even some sacks, because this is a very chemistry-based position group right here. Very chemistry based. And the fact that we're already starting to gel week 3 like this is insane. So shout Bobby Johnson. I know we were really afraid of that hire coming from the Giants and how bad their O-line was last year, but he's really doing a fine job with these guys, man. I think they're reaching a higher ceiling than I expected from this offensive line, especially at this point in the season, only 3 weeks in. And then, I mean, Tyler Biadasz was an excellent signing as well. If Austin Ekeler isn't the best signing, you can even probably throw Tyler Biadasz up there, because that Brian Robinson 1-yard touchdown run was paved by Tyler Biadasz. I mean, completely just bulldozed everybody out the way. That's why he went unblocked. Samuel Cosby played his part as well, but that was a bulldoze right there. And then shouts out to Brandon Coleman. He didn't have a perfect play, but he did pancake Trey Hendrickson at one point, which actually caused Trey Hendrickson to get hurt. Now, Trey Hendrickson ended up having a sack later on in the game, but golly, man. Cornelius Lucas got beat one time for a sack at some point. No, that was the Brandon Coleman play where somebody rushed back inside and got JAYDEN. So Brandon Coleman, up and down day, but you see the potential. You see the potential. To Andrew Wiley, overall a good day, not gonna lie, but one time he got beat so fast, it was ridiculous how quick he got beaten. I don't remember if Jaden Daniels just had to run or throw it out of his hands quickly, but boy, he got beat immediately. It just seems like Andrew Wiley's gonna allow 1 or 2 of those a game, but outside of that, he's at least you could say like an above average, maybe even right tackle in the NFL. He doesn't deserve all of the hate that he gets. He's not the best right tackle. I would still be looking to trying to find a franchise right tackle of the future and next offseason in the draft or whatever. Maybe you draft 1 second or third round or something like that. But Andrew Wiley is serviceable. He's good enough for right now. There's a reason he starts over Cornelius Lucas at the very least. But Trent Scott, man, the man of the hour. He is the first Washington Commanders offensive lineman to score a touchdown since Joe Jacoby of 1984, y'all, man. Also, shout out to Trent Scott, too, for keeping it 100, man, because he suggested that Jaden Daniels should saw that first touchdown pass that he had in half so that both of them could keep it as a super near. Jaden Daniels was like, nah, I need that. I'm not giving that to him in his post-game little interview that he had still on the field before he went to the locker room. Also, man, to even highlight the offensive line even more, you even have at NFL Draft Bites, Trad Forbes himself. So this is a guy that focuses on the NFL Draft. He's not a Commanders fan, not a Commanders analyst at all. He has no bias towards us or for us, against us, nothing. He said the Commanders O-line was fantastic tonight. 2 free agency additions, Biadasz and Allegretti, have stabilized the interior. Rookie Brandon Coleman could be the long-term answer at left tackle. A real rarity for a 3rd-round pick. Cliff Kingsbury going to get some head coaching interest in a year or 2? Question mark. Good point. But shouts out to him shouting out the offensive line. Then also shouts out to Brett Coleman, another guy, completely neutral analyst here, no bias towards for or against the Commanders whatsoever. He said Pro Football Focus had the Bengals at a 9.7 pass rush win rate tonight. They called 11 blitzes. They had a 9.7 pass rush win rate, and they still only called 11 blitzes. How do you go through 4 quarters of that and change nothing? And my point is, Brett Coleman, not a Bengals fan, not a Commanders fan, and he's so frustrated with the Bengals defensive play calling just off of the fact that our offensive line pass blocked that well. I really appreciate it. And before we move on to the defense, just a couple of more notes from the offense. First of all, I did notice that even the wide receivers blocked a little bit better this game. Like on the screens down the field, that was definitely a point of emphasis going into this game. No more false start penalties, and make sure y'all block for the guys that do have the ball. I saw improved blocking from not only the offensive line, but the receivers as well. Also, I love the up-tempo that we did because it kept the Bengals defense tired, and that's where we got off a lot of those explosive plays. Keep that up. Also, this was easily our most impressive game of the season offensively, and easily, like, I mean, you have like 3 candidates for our best drives I've seen in the past few years just from this game alone. Also, man, I'm just so proud of what they did today, man. I just love how, like, even when the Bengals scored and they would go down and score a touchdown easily, our offense would bounce right back and score a touchdown. They were not down on themselves. They were like, bet, we'll answer you right back and we'll score to you. Kick a field goal, we're coming to score a touchdown too after that as well. Stop playing with us. And shouts out to Sky Abraham, because I completely agree. This is the best Washington offense has looked all season. And look who has their touchdowns. At a certain point, it was only running backs. And you could argue his point is that we have the best running back tandem in the NFL when Austin Ekeler is healthy. I love it, man. This is ridiculous, man. That is, I mean, this was just an excellent performance here. Let's go ahead and move on to the defense, man, before we're here all night. I'm already almost like an hour in, 52 minutes into this recording, and we haven't even started with the defense. Now, first of all, can't believe that first drive that they gave up. I mean, that was a 3-minute drive. It felt like it went in a blink of an eye. Immediate touchdown to Jamar Chase. That was unacceptable. Also, we had a problem of getting off the field on third downs quite a bit today. It wasn't as bad as the first 2 weeks, but it was still something we need to focus on and worry about, because I can't remember the exact number. Matter of fact, I can actually look it up right now as I'm improvising and talking just to keep y'all busy. See, they went 6 for 10 on third downs, which is not as bad as it's been for the percentage wise and the way it even felt during the game as it's been all season, but still unacceptable. You still got to be better than that, man. But at the same time, no, they played way faster or more aggressive this game. They still got beat a lot. We still allowed 33 points, even though 7 of them came in trash time, but technically you can give them 3 points for the kicker missing the easy field goal. But either way, they played like how Joe Witt Jr. wanted them to play. We still don't have the talent. That's why Joe Witt Jr. can't run the... Let me just go ahead and get this out the way. I see a lot of people blaming Joe Witt Jr. And yeah, he has not been perfect. He's put them in some situations where it's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. I can admit that. But overall, you can tell that Joe Witt Jr. wants to run a very heavy man blitzing defense. He wants to run the same defense he ran with the Dallas Cowboys. And look at the Dallas Cowboys defense right now. They miss us, Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn, more than they miss the players. I'm telling you that right now. You can see the proof is in the pudding. But either way, my point is, back in Dallas, when they were the top turnover calls in defense, the NFL, they ran a lot of man. They were very aggressive. They intercepted and hunted. They allowed their corners to play very aggressively, man coverage, attack the ball rather than just covering the receiver and things like that. You can't do that. And you've seen through the first 3 weeks that they always try to give these guys a chance every game. Like the first quarter, the first half, they're like, try it. Let's see if maybe you got better this past week. And then at a certain point, he has to pivot to this soft zone, very passive defense where it's kind of just bend but don't break type of situation. After that first touchdown that Mike Sanders still gave up immediately to start the game, the first drive, you can see Joe Witt Jr. like, I guess we got to go to zone earlier than normal. I think the Buccaneers game, it took us probably too long to do it. I don't think we switched till like the fourth quarter against the Giants. I feel like before halftime we were in zone coverage against the Bengals because Joe Witt Jr. does not have the guys that he wants. But at the same time, these guys are playing with that passion, that fire, and trying to just obliterate people like Joe Witt Jr. asked them to do as soon as he was hired. Like, that's the mentality we're going to have. You saw Frankie Louvu, Mike Sanderson, and Jeremy Chin all embodying that physical play that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. have talked about all offseason. But one thing I do have to complain about the overall defense is, why was everything underneath so open? I know we're playing soft coverage. We're playing bend but don't break defense. We're not allowing the big play, and we're allowing them to get everything underneath. But boy, those flats were often so often, man. Just wide open, man. Just like a running back or a tight end or a receiver underneath. They catch the ball at like the line of scrimmage at furthest 2 yards away from the line of scrimmage, and they end up picking like a 7 to 9 yards up because nobody's even near them after they catch the ball. We just got to work on that a little bit. But also, shouts out to Zach Selby for this one. He said initial impressions of the Commanders defense so far, outside of the Chase touchdown, they have played better. Now, this was up to like some point in the third quarter, and then they let us down in the fourth quarter. But at a certain point, their tackling did noticeably improve. It was still bad overall, but you could tell that their game plan at a certain point was to force the Bengals to dink and dunk, and that just wasn't good enough. They didn't have enough time to do that, and after a certain point, it just got ugly for them. We were playing bend but don't break, and it was enough to win the game. It wasn't great, but it was enough to win the game. Now, defensively, I like the fact that Johnny Newton was finally out there with Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen at times. We even had Deron Payne at defensive end a few times so that Johnny Newton could play defensive tackle. I like that. It wasn't the most productive play, but I like the fact that Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn are getting Johnny Newton involved, because one of my biggest complaints from last week in those 12 snaps that he played against the Giants, I don't believe that he was on the field with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne any of those snaps. I believe all of them may have had Fadarian Mathis with him, like to the side of him as the other defensive tackle. So I'm just happy to see him out there with the big guys, even though they haven't played like it, especially Deron Payne, man. I mean, that one time, what is it? Second quarter, 1 minute and 26 seconds left. We're up 21-0. It is 1st and 10. Deron Payne has the running back wrapped up, and it was a great play too. Like up to the point that he didn't tackle the running back, it was an A1 play. Like, it was an elite play. He obliterated the offensive lineman. He's the furthest back out of every defensive lineman by at least like a yard or two. Like, he obliterated the offensive lineman. He blew up the play. He's at the running back. Somehow he doesn't hold him long enough for him to escape, and instead of it being like a 3 3-4 yard loss. It ends up being like a 10-11 yard gain, so there's no excuse for that. You're getting paid too much money to do that. But at the same time, even though Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne are getting double teamed occasionally, where's Jonathan Allen? I know a lot of our focus has been on Daron Payne, but at least like those first 2 sacks that we had before we walked into this game by Clelin Ferrell were all off of Daron Payne pressures. At least he's impacting the game some way. Where is Jonathan Allen at all right now? So Daron Payne, you got to be better. Yes, you're not off the hook, but Jonathan Allen, I'm calling you out the most. It's to the point that people are even in my chat saying, let's trade Jonathan Allen as soon as we can before his stock keeps plummeting even further. I believe in him. I hope he steps up and finally has an amazing game against the Cardinals, but so far I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all. And the advanced statistics don't help him at all either, because they have him ranked like crazy numbers, like 78th one statistic, like pass rush win rate or something like that, like 60 something in another statistic, overall grade like in the fit, like something crazy. Like he's been bad. I don't take those exact numbers from me, but just know that Jonathan Allen has not been good on tape. According to Pro Football Focus, no matter which way you look at it, advanced stats, it hasn't been good. Shouts out to 7th round pick rookie Javonte Jean-Baptiste getting his first sack, and that was a great play. Now, granted, my Georgia Bulldog, Amarius Mims, was the victim on that play. He beat him inside so easily. It was so beautiful, and I know he's a Georgia Bulldog, but when it comes to my Commanders on top above all else. So I love you, Amarius Mims. You're a Georgia Bulldog. But I was so happy to see Javonte Jean-Baptiste beat you for a sack. We needed that, man. Also, Dante Fowler had himself a really good game. Like, he was getting pressure a lot. He had that one sack that, like, it was completely a one-man show for him, even though Johnny Newton, I believe, became a part of it later on in the play and probably got credit for half a sack, but that was a completely Dante Fowler blown-up play. But Dante Fowler was, I mean, when they had him on the field, he impacted the game. Like, Joe Burrow even had to scramble outside of the pocket because of Dante Fowler a couple of times, so I really appreciate that signing right there. Clelin Ferrell was hurt, and other guys stepped up. And also, Johnny Newton had a big impact. I'm telling y'all are going to go back and watch this tape later on, and hopefully, maybe I'll do a film session on him. He'll be one of my film sessions I do this upcoming week leading up to this Arizona Cardinals game. He had a bigger impact than you think. The stats on the box score may not show it, but Johnny Newton was impactful today. He was explosive. He was disruptive. I'm really excited to look at that film because I'm pretty sure it's even better than I think. And then also, linebacker-wise, Jamin Davis finally active again. Active against the Buccaneers, played well. Was not active against the Giants for whatever reason. Active today. They actually had him in an off-ball linebacker at times today. And I believe at a certain point, he was leading our team in tackles with like 2 at his, like, through like the first quarter or something like that. Then eventually he stopped playing as much as other people because he was off the field and things like that. But he started the game off pretty impactful. Then Frankie Louvu, man, wasn't the best game. They were trying to take advantage of him in coverage at times underneath. But man, he had some great run stops, especially in the first half. And then he had an elite coverage play where, like, he stopped Joe Burrow. He's like in the middle. It's monkey in the middle. Joe Burrow scrambling and a wide receiver trying to get open on the scramble drill. Frankie Louvu's right in the middle. Somehow he made the perfect play to convince Joe Burrow enough to not to scramble, to throw the ball, and then somehow he was able to back up enough to get in the way of the pass from the wide receiver and make sure it fell incomplete. That was arguably the most impressive coverage play I've seen from any Commander all year. Frankie Louvu deserves his credit for that, even though he wasn't great in coverage all game. Cornerback-wise, Noah Benogany started at corner outside, opposite of Benjamin St. Juste, of course, because Michael Davis was terrible against the Giants. I already knew he wasn't going to play much. Mike Sanford still plays outside and plays inside occasionally. He plays like a little bit of both. Emmanuel Forbes is still hurt, so right now, Noah Benogany and Benjamin St. Juste are your starting outside corners. And I felt like he was great against the run. I'm not going to lie. He was excellent against the run today, but in coverage, I mean, a little questionable. Like, he was our one pass interference, I believe, of the day, and it was like an easy touchdown that he would have given up if he didn't do the pass interference. I believe they ended up scoring a touchdown anyway. But Noah Benogany against the run, I mean, he looked like a linebacker out there sometimes, and I feel like he deserves the credit for this from this fan base for that. Mike Sanford, of course, that opening touchdown to Jamar Chase was ugly, but boy, man, boy. And I kind of blame Percy Butler there, the safety, because Mike Sanford still had underneath coverage, and I know he got burnt, but you would hope the safety is over the top to help there. Why did we single coverage Jamar Chase so much that game? Joey Jr., I am looking at you a little crazy for that, but I understand that's what you want to do. That's the style of defense you want to run. You don't have the guys to do that yet, so we may want to stop trying it. But man, Mike Sanford still, shortly after that touchdown catch he gave up to Jamar Chase early in the game, shortly after that, he made the best play of his short NFL career so far through 3 weeks, where he like completely sniffed out a screenplay and then obliterated the receiver and made him play. And I love that play because you could tell he was angry from the touchdown that he allowed, and he showed it on that play, man. I absolutely love that. That play had me hyped, man. So shouts out to those corners there. Benjamin St. Jude's not really much to talk about. That's one of those ones where I got to kind of look at the all 22 footage because I remember him getting beat a couple of times. But other than that, I don't really remember him even existing, and that's a good thing for a corner. So maybe he had good coverage other than that for the rest of the game. Then Jeremy Chinn, I mean, still working on improving run game wise. But in coverage, Jeremy Chinn was pretty spectacular today. Now, he was hitting people at times. Again, I felt like he was one of the people, like along with Frankie Louisville and Mike Sanford still, that truly embody the aggressive and physical play that Joe Wood Jr. and Dan Quinn demands of this team. But even in coverage, man, he had a couple of good pass breakups, and you could say that he was early on that 1-2 point conversion pass breakup. But even outside of that, I mean, he made a great play. There was one play where like him and Percy Butler made a great play in coverage on 3rd and 11 to force them into a 4th and 11. And that may have even been the one where they missed the field goal or something like that. I think it was right after that they missed the field goal. So shouts out to Jeremy Chinn and Percy Butler for combining for that. But yeah, man, I feel like Jeremy Chinn was everywhere today. This was his best game by far this season. The first 2 games were under expectations. This one, I wouldn't say it's at expectations because I thought Jeremy Chinn had like Pro Bowl talent in him. Maybe he still does, but this wasn't a Pro Bowl level game from him, but it was way better than the previous 2, I'll tell you that. Of course, Tyler Owens doesn't play much on special teams. All he does is special teams. Jeremy Reeves, same thing, pretty much a special teams guy. He had a great hit at some point in special teams, a great open field tackle. And then that's really about it for the safeties. It's really just Quan Martin, Jeremy Chinn, and Percy Butler. I don't really remember Quan Martin's impact on this game. I really got to look at it again. I know one play, though. It was on that 3rd down stop by the defense before the Bengals made their field goal to go up to make the score 14-10. It was 14-7. They kicked the field goal after this play to make it 14-10. But if Joe Burrow is accurate, that's probably an interception by Quan Martin. He's right there, but Joe Burrow threw it so bad that nobody had a chance to get it. But if he throws it right to the receiver, right to his chest, Quan Martin's in perfect position to probably get his first interception of the season. So I don't really, I mean, with safeties, naturally, you got to get the all 22 footage to really understand how well or poorly they played. I feel like Quan Martin had a pretty good day. I remember him having a few significant tackles, and again, that would have been his interception, first interception of the season right there, if Joe Burrow doesn't just completely miss the receiver for no reason. Now, special teams wise, and we still have a few more things to talk about even after this. Again, we got to acknowledge the fact that Austin Ekeler is our best kick returner right now, man. He should have had one against the Giants for a touchdown because that penalty that brought it back had nothing to do with the play. It would be different if it was the type of penalty where it's like, okay, I understand because it's because of that penalty that he was able to get that kickoff return for a touchdown. No, the penalty was away from the play. Austin Ekeler actually earned that, so he deserves the credit. When we talk about Austin Ekeler as a returner, we need to give him credit for that kick return touchdown because that penalty that brought it back had nothing to do with it. Then he almost had another one today, man. He's an explosive player. Run game, receiving, special teams, everything. Can't wait to get him back as soon as possible. Also, his 62-yard kickoff return was the longest by a Washington player since 2021. You may want to call him Lil B Mitch right now. It is the 3rd longest return in the league since the NFL implemented the new kickoff rule as well. So right now, Austin Ekeler is the 3rd best kick returner in the entire NFL since they changed the rule this season, statistically at least. So stop playing with him, man. Also, after our first touchdown, Jeremy Reeves had an elite open field tackle on the kickoff. I don't know how many yards that guy would have gotten if Jeremy Reeves didn't make that tackle, but I'm glad we didn't have to find out. That was an elite open field tackle there. Also, man, shouts out to Tress Way because how efficient this offense is, how explosive this offense is. This guy has literally had 2 weeks off. He's been basically the most expensive placeholder in the entire NFL right now, man. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And also, we got to acknowledge the fact that Austin Cyborg, my boy Austin Cyborg, what I call him, because he got to have a little bit of robot in him for how automatic he is right now. I mean, it's like robot AI level efficiency. He hasn't missed a single kick so far for us through this season right now. He's 8 for 8 after going 7 for 7 last week, 1 for 1 on field goals. He made every PAT this game, so that now makes him 8 for 8 on field goals, and I believe PAT wise 7 of 7. So he's 15 on 15 of all of the kicks that he's ever kicked for us so far as PATs and field goals go this season. I believe overall. That's just quick mental math, but I could be wrong there. But either way, all you need to know is Austin Cyborg is perfect. And then now I wasn't able to, get a lot of people's reviews and thoughts and things after the game like I normally do, but shouts out to the the one I did get at Commander's Realm. He said thoughts on tonight's win at Cincinnati, and I'm gonna let you know what I agree or disagree with. Coleman had a great game. Didn't even know he was out there until he flipped Hendrickson. That's why Hendrickson got hurt. He pretty much put him on the ground. Now Coleman did allow that one inside rush where Jayden Daniels got sacked immediately. So up and down game overall. So I kind of agree, but maybe he didn't notice that that was Brandon Coleman. Some people thought that was Cornelius Lucas that allowed that. Also, Cliff Kingsbury was cooking. That's an understatement. Can't say enough about JD5. Went on the road in prime time and put on a show. Still no turnover through 3 NFL games. Ridiculous. Ekeler is not slow. I love that point. Yes. Still too much pre-snap confusion. Got to clean that up. That is a good point. I forgot to bring that up too. We do have to call way too many timeouts on offense where it's just like we're not ready. Not because we're trying to stop the clock. We're just not ready to get the play call in. Do got to work on that. Also, they were flying around on special teams, especially Reeves. Completely agree. They were really struggling against the run. Completely agree. Defensive line has to be better. Linebackers have to be better as well. Oh, I do want to point out the fact that Bobby Wagner looks slow out there. Now, he did have a couple of good plays, but his best game so far this season was against the Giants. Buccaneers was pretty bad. This game, he got taken advantage of in coverage. I felt like the Giants game was his best game so far. Going back to Commander's Realm, St. Juice is still toast. I got to relook at that game to see how bad it was because I don't remember Benjamin St. Juice going out that bad, but maybe I just missed it. Payne and Allen make too much money to be non-existent each week. I agree. Defense made stops, but it's always felt like bad Bengals rather than good Commanders. That's a good point. All in all, it wasn't pretty, but the rookie quarterback went into a tough environment and put on a show for the whole league. Still atop the NFC East, and that's another thing I want to acknowledge. We are still currently #1 in the NFC East right now. So enjoy it. 2 weeks in a row of being the #1 team in the NFC East. Technically the 4th seed right now in the NFC playoffs. I love it. And before we get up out of here, I have a few more random things I want to point out. Again, also the fact that through 3 weeks so far the NFC season, the NFL season, we are first in the NFC East. Also, the Bengals and the Commanders, this was the first game since 1940 with no turnovers or punts from either team. That's crazy that the Bengals never had a turnover and never punted and still lost that game. That's just insane in itself. They just missed a field goal and they didn't score as many touchdowns as we did. It's sad. Also, look at this graphic right here about how people doubted us going into this game, man. Don't it just feel sweet? Nobody believed in us, man. I'm pretty sure the majority of our fan base didn't believe in us. And I mean, how can you really blame anybody? But it's still beautiful. It still feels so good to just bring up everybody doubting us and the fact that we outdid everybody. I even believe Chad Ochocinco said that the Bengals were gonna kill us. Like it wasn't even gonna be close. How about that, man? They talking about who day, we day. Stop playing with us. Also, shouts out to Tan Top Podcast because I mostly agree. He said get a couple of corners, a killer defensive end, and another dog wide receiver. Let's roll. And I mean, that's a good point. People brought up this point in my call-in show right after the game. That, you know, maybe we need to make a big trade for a corner. Maybe we need to look for some elite defensive ends because we may not want to waste this opportunity. We may be building what the Houston Texans did last year with CJ Stroud. We may have something similar here. I mean, you just beat the Bengals to go ahead and point it out. I mean, remember the Bengals were supposed to beat the Chiefs if it weren't for like some really bad referee stuff going on that literally bailed the Chiefs out. Just phenomenal stuff. So like if you do the math, the Bengals were supposed to beat the Chiefs. We beat the Bengals fairly convincingly. Are we destined to go to a Super Bowl this year? Are we one of the best teams in the NFL? I don't know yet. I may have to update y'all on how the media feels about us power rankings wise after this game to see where we truly stand. But of course, people are just going to look at the Bengals and say 0-3. They're not that impressive. So don't give the Commanders that much credit. But if you really watch the game, the Bengals are not 0-3 bad. But it is what it is, man. But either way, is it time? Do we need to actually? Because I mean, it was feeling like, especially even after that Giants win, how much we barely struggled to beat them at home. That it was like, yeah, I mean, we have some talent. We have some potential here, but maybe we should focus on 2025 and beyond, and you know, we should be sellers and things like that when it comes to the trade deadline. But now it's looking like maybe we have something special here, especially offensively. If we can probably add like a really good corner or two, a diddly dependable pass rusher, defensive end, maybe we trade for one or something, you may have something cooking here. But the way Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown and Luke McCaffrey have stood up, maybe we don't necessarily need to trade for a big time receiver, maybe like a decent one but not a big one anymore, like maybe not like a Devontae Adams or something like that. Also, look at this picture right here of Adam Peters and how he's looking at Jayden Daniels after the game, man. This guy loves himself some Jayden Daniels, dog. Absolutely loves him some, man. He feels like this is the best decision he's ever made in his life. Also, shouts out to my boy Rio Robinson. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and subscribe to him on YouTube. Of course, man. He had the perfect tweet after the game. He said, I want to live in this game. And I completely agree. This is one of those games that I'm going to rewatch over and over again, not only just for the next week, but also just for eternity. Because say you look back, I mean, next thing you know, 3 years from now, we're Super Bowl contenders. We're in the Super Bowl. Maybe we're even winning it. This is going to be that game that you point to like that's when the switch went on for Jayden Daniels. That's the moment where he was like, I've arrived. I am a franchise quarterback. I can lead this team to Super Bowls. This is going to be the game that we revisit over and over again. We're going to rewatch this game for years to come. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, my boy Mello from Sacramento brought up a great point. He said this is a different feeling 2-1 from last year. That's a great point. Remember last year we started 2-0 and ended up 2-1, just like we just started this year 2-1. But it is a completely different feeling this year compared to last year being 2-1. This is a completely different 2-1. Shouts out to my boy Mello from Sacramento, because that is a great point. I couldn't agree more. This is a completely different 2-1, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Really appreciate y'all. Make sure you do not leave this video without leaving a like. Of course, let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with any of my points. Let me know any other points or things that you noticed in the game that I may have missed in this game breakdown. Of course, I can't see everything all the time, so I got to look back at all 22 stuff to like really get a feel for like a lot of things, like how the secondary play, how the O-line play, how the D-line plays, little things. What was Jayden Daniels seeing from his point of view? Maybe he missed a few more throws than I thought. Maybe he was more impressive with some of the throws that I thought were good. Maybe they were even better than I thought. So let me know what you took away from this game, some things I missed, your overall analysis from the game. Because, of course, again, one of the main reasons I started this YouTube channel was to become a smarter fan. Y'all make me a smarter fan, man. Sometimes I'm wrong, and I love the fact that y'all will call me out on that and correct me, or y'all put me on to some game, tell me something, teach me something that I didn't know about. So please do all of that in the comment section. I'm going to try my best to read and reply to as many as possible. And of course, I'm gonna be coming to y'all daily with videos all week, all season, honestly. And for channel members, if you're not one, go become one, because I'm working on exclusive film sessions that only y'all will get, only y'all will see. But you got to go become a channel member to do that. I'm trying to knock out like 3 or 4 before we play the Cardinals on Sunday. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.